I love this relationship that Alice and Doug have. Talk about the kind of backstory you were given on how they met, and maybe their current status of the relationship.
Well, considering that they're in couples therapy by episode three, I think we can we can have an educated guess as to the state of things in their relationship at
Current
the
state,
moment.
yes.
But no, they've been together for a long time. We sort of posited that between Anna Sophia and myself that they'd been together, college sweethearts, married sort of the last 8 years and heading into the next chapter of life, their 30s, is revealing certain complications between maybe perspectives and how they view things, maybe. Um, Doug is more taking stock. I think Doug feels a lot of pressure between his parents and society to perhaps be a little more ambitious or be a bit more of a breadwinner and as we call them, the well-to-do. You know, his parents are very much part of the Grosse Pointe elite, and they are not so subtle about their wishes for them to settle down, have a child, get a real job, and contribute to society the way that they do. Um, Naturally, that brings a little friction between Alice and Doug. And so, as we see by episode three, um, the miscommunication is rife, and we need a bit of a hard reset to get back on the same page. And I think the hard reset happens in episode four.
Well, Doug seems to change his mind about having kids by episode two. He seemed to be comfortable with Alice's pause. Was it due to the pressures of his mom sort of hovering? First his mom and dad have that dinner with him. Second,
Um,
his mom's like, here's avocado oil. If
yeah,
you want to have kids, dig,
I
dig, dig,
think
dig, push,
yes.
push,
I
push.
think so this storyline we worked it a little bit over the past year. And Bill and Jenna, Bill Krebs and Jenna Bans, the creators of the show and the showrunners, they have sort of tweaked the storylines a little bit as we've gone on. But I think we meet in the pilot at a place where Doug is very much still trying to please everybody. And so whether or not he and Alice are on the same page, it's about placating his mother and his overbearing parents and sort of the idea of we're not having any babies yet is to try and keep everybody on side on the same page. He's kind of trying to pull two parts of a ship back together to avoid it from sinking. And clearly that takes a toll on the marriage because they don't feel as aligned. And I think by episode three and four they do head towards that hard reset where they do have the difficult conversations and make the I wouldn't say compromise, but they do start having those conversations that married couples have of what it takes to be on the same page again.
Does Doug really not see the chemistry between Alice and Brett the way that Melissa does? I mean, maybe they're not in the as around them or
Jamie,
entering those
Jamie,
because they're
Jamie,
mostly
Jamie.
gardening.
I will say, you always know. You can always tell. You can just see the way somebody sends a text or the way somebody looks at another person. You can always tell. Doug knows. And we'll see in episode four if Doug says anything about it. But I think it's more that there is a trust. Doug trusts the security of his marriage. Doug trusts the love that he and Alice shares. Respectfully, Brett is Alice's best friend, and for better or worse, as a best friend, he's probably always going to be a part of the picture. So there's a level of acceptance that comes with it. Now, if Doug had his way, would Brett be around? Hell no. But I think he's trying his best to be the loving partner that he is and allow this friendship to continue.
But does Doug accept Alice as she is? I mean, she goes to great lengths to pe please him. She sucks up to this woman who's just horrible to her just so that he doesn't have to give up his dream of owning this art studio and being a successful artist.
Yes, I hear that. The part of that deal was also that she would work at the school so that he could focus on his art. And so when she surreptitiously gets herself fired by accusing a child of killing her dog, that is a bit of a stark change of plans that Doug wasn't informed of either. So I think there is a. I'm going to go into bat for Doug a little bit here and say that I don't think anybody's innocent in this story, but I think they're just doing the best that they can. There is so much that Alice is doing, and I think that Doug could be a little bit better at I would say validating Alice's efforts, but I also think it's a two-way street. Doug's being accused of killing their dog right now in therapy that he is willingly submitting himself to because he does want this marriage to get better. I'm just going to say
Or
it
Molly
takes
in
two
that
to tango.
sandwich bag. Oh, bless
I
her.
know. Uh, but it's so real though, isn't it? It's like, look, the commemorative urn was just simply outside the budget, and some you just got to do what you got to do.
This show is so special. It's, I think, at its heart, more of a friendship comedy with a dash of
Mm.
murder to it. It's sort of like a friend, like one of those
Yes.
f friendly dramedies,
No,
where
it is.
I
It
mean, it's
is.
like Friends, but also with the dash of How to Get Away with Murder.
Yes. Exactly. And I think that's the important delineation of this show is that it's not a crime show. It's not a murder show. It's a fish out of water show. It is a bunch of people who were supposed to be on Friends somehow ended up in a murder plot. And they're like, what on earth is going on? Why is this our lives now? It's not supposed to be our lives. And that is, I think that is, you're right. That is truly the essence of the show is that it's relatable because I think often in times we feel a bit of like we're a fish out of water, whether it's imposter syndrome or whether we feel like we have to put on certain airs at work or around in-laws or anything like that. And I think that's what makes it relatable is that, you think, oh my goodness, can these people catch a break? No, they have to go home and placate their awful in-laws, or they have to go and try and secretly be there for their son that legally they're not allowed to be near and so on. There are so many things where we want to see these people thrive, but there is so much that they have to navigate through first. And it is constantly like the fish out of water. And I genuinely think that's what makes these people human, makes them relatable, and makes this storyline, you know, somewhat not as outlandish as it is, because it
Such a
is
guilty
ridiculous.
pleasure. It's such a guilty pleasure
It is.
watch. And I think
Yes.
all of you have put such great efforts into making these characters either love
Thank
to
you.
hate or must see what happens to them next week. Or this buddy
Yes.
comedy that the three of them have in this car, but all of
Yes.
you are just so great at it. So thank you so much for your time to talk about this series.